I'm Wendy Gillette with Small Cap Nation, coming to you from the NASDAQ market site here in Times Square. And we're joined today by Scott Absher, who is the co-founder and CEO of ShiftPixie. It's an interesting name. So tell me what it is.
Sure, Wendy. Thanks for taking time with me. ShiftPixie is kind of an innovation in the way in which employers and employees connect. One of the things that my co-founder Steve Holmes and I have been very involved in over the past 20 years is in the managing or of the employer-employee relationship for small businesses from coast to coast. One of the things that we started to see was that turnover, especially in the part-time labor markets, was becoming a big problem. Used to be that 100% turnover was common. With the part-time labor markets now, seeing 300% and 400% turnover is a big problem. And when we looked at that problem in the marketplace, one of the attributions for that was that now if somebody's committed to part-time labor, they don't have to work in traditional retail or restaurants for part-time work. They can get on their phone and they can load an app. They can start picking up part-time opportunities and put their income together that way. That leaves the small business, the brick and mortar small business operator, at a deficit because they don't have that technology, they don't have that way to connect. So what we did with ShiftPixie was take everything that we knew about the compliance process for the employer-employee relationship and distill it down and deliver it through this mobile architecture and kind of create an ecosystem where employers and employees can kind of share opportunities and responsibilities.
How does it work?
Well, what we've done is we've taken our traditional business model in the employer and service industry, where we would take and silo individual clients on a multi-tenant platform, a technology platform, and take care of their needs individually. What we've done is broken those silos just a little bit and allowed the employees of one organization to actually pick up extra hours and fill out their dance card, if you will, with the employer in the adjacent silo, and never having to exit our platform, our ecosystem. So they didn't have to fill out new job applications and that sort of thing. So the user experience for the shifters, as we call them, is that they get to access more opportunity, more hours, without ever having to go out and hit the street looking for that. The advantage for the job provider, the business, is now they have an architecture, a digital architecture, that allows them to compete with all the gig economy platforms, and do so in a compliant way. A lot of the gig economy platforms are ignoring settled employer-employee law, and what we're trying to do is restore that safety net that's been engineered over decades, generations even, of settled law, and take it back and deliver it digitally, one shift at a time.
Okay, let's talk money. How are you doing with fundraising?
We're doing well. We actually just started our roadshow. We're with the intent of completing our IPO the week of the 19th of June. So we've already started our roadshow meeting with the investor community. And so far so good, going well, a lot of interest in what we're doing. We're doing some things that are fairly unique, and I think that's attracting a lot of people. We've had a very rapid growth and start in the business, and I think that's also been very attractive for people that are looking at it from an investment standpoint.
And you're hoping to eventually list here on the
We are on the NASDAQ. The plan is that we'd be trading on NASDAQ somewhere during that week of the 19th. I think they're trying to price and close about on the 19th.
Must be a very exciting time.
It is. It is.
And scary.
It is both. Yes. Yes.
So, what industries are you focusing on at this point?
Well, yeah, we're architected to address needs in the part-time labor markets. It's the neglected, one of the most neglected sides of the labor market in our old industry, the employer service industry. So we're dedicated really to meeting the needs there. And when we look at that marketplace, that's about 26 million people in the U.S. that are employed part-time. And of that sector, about 13 million of those are in the restaurant and hospitality trades. So by design, we've really focused on those trades initially. So if you looked at us in terms of how you might see us in the marketplace, we're working with a lot of multi-unit franchised fast food and fast casual restaurant operators who are taking and offloading their employees into our ecosystem. And so we think we have a long life and a long path there. The other markets that we're also starting to address are home health care. That has a large part-time labor component. Also building service trades and that sort of thing. They have a large part-time labor component.
And a lot of the shifters, as you call them, are millennials?
Yes, that's true. If you think about the tradition of part-time labor, it's the stuff that we did when we were in high school or college to make extra income. So that's part of the tradition. And if you think about it, that's kind of what ShiftPixie's doing. We're really trying to marry the millennial work ethic and attitude about work, but it really engage them at the mobile level, which is where, if you think about it, they're also engaging socially, and they pretty much live in that world. So what we're trying to do is provide that mechanism for a small business owner to connect to them in a meaningful way, but in a way that helps them organize and balance their life and work in a way that's important to them.
And you touched on this a little bit, but how is your company different from competitors?
Well, when we look at the employer service space, we see a lot of folks that were peers of ours that were really addressing the full-time, more highly compensated wage groups, and that was always the tradition. As I said, part-time was neglected. It was part-time meant high turnover and meant high touch. It means that you were handling client issues more often, and it made it more difficult to have profitable relationships with those types of clients. What we've done is re-engineer and just focus on that, where a lot of our peers were not, and really tailor everything that we're doing to address the specific needs of part-time labor groups and the high turnover issue. And we're doing that with technology and supporting it with really cutting-edge technology. What we're doing with technology today, we have no legacy, as a lot of our peers might, that they can't really contemporize. We're starting from a fresh platform. We're incorporating a lot of artificial intelligence to help kind of move and make matches and move people through processes and workflows. And it's something that our peers aren't really able to do today.
Okay, so you're unique?
Very unique, yeah, very unique with respect to technology and the market approach.
And when are you going to launch?
We've already launched some features of our application, mostly for our benefit to support the clients that we're working with. But one of the things that is important to ShiftPixie is that we function well in dense population areas. So, for example, in Southern California, where we're headquartered, we've been able to curate a large group of employees locally. We're going to start allowing this intermediation piece, which means that your employees would be available to work for one of your peers or one of your neighbors, and vice versa. So we're going to start that process here in the fall with those in that market. We're also, as a use of our proceeds from our fundraising, we plan to open in New York and Orlando and Houston, Chicago, other dense population markets, with, again, the intent of building and curating a local population of job providers, so we can also start opening up. When we open up those markets to the shifters, there's opportunity resident already in those marketplaces.
Right, so to kind of prepare, grease the wheel.
That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what are your short-term and long-term goals for the company?
Well, short-term, obviously, we're anxious
Succeed.
to complete our IPO, right?
Yeah.
We've got work we've got to do there to finish up, and we're in the home stretch. So it's our expectation to have that finished up in mid-June. After that, I mean, we've got a pretty large ramp up. We've got a lot of interest in what we're doing at the industrial level. We've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years working with a lot of the large multi-unit operators in the fast food and fast casual industry. We've got, it's kind of interesting for us, we've had a lot of surprises through the process, where other larger mid-market companies kind of look at the architecture and what we're doing, and they have their own imagination about how they could make it useful or leverage it into their organization. So we're starting to get inquiries from some pretty large companies that say, could we use your tools to do this? And so that's opening up some new doors too. So over the next year, you're going to see a lot of interesting opportunities, a lot of name brands that people will recognize start participating in the ShiftPixie ecosystem.
It'll be a big year for you. Thanks so much.
It will be.
Thanks so much, Scott, for joining us
Thanks,
today.
Wendy.
I'm Wendy Gillette with Small Cap Nation.